Hello, my lovely friends. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Yani. If you are new, welcome. Today, we are going to be talking about the fact that I am a writer who hasn't been writing. Kind of shameful, I know. I do believe that there is a lot of overlap in how I'm feeling with the way that a lot of writers feel as far as not writing. However, what I find is that the majority of people who are in this situation where they're not writing have writer's block. And the thing with me is I don't necessarily have writer's block. I'm very much cognitively aware to what I need to write and where my story goes, and I just lack desire to write it. I lack routine. So I haven't written in a little while, which is a little bit shameful because this is my dream. This is what I want to do. This is what I really want to progress in. And I think what the issue is for me is that I struggle a lot with the imperfect first draft and just accepting that no matter what, it's going to probably suck, which is just sort of like a reality of writing a first draft. It's not very common. In fact, it's extremely rare that anybody writes a first draft that's just completely good off the bat. So, something that I see said a lot is that the first draft is telling yourself the story, and then further drafts from that point on are you refining the story to tell it to other people. Yeah, and I end up spending the majority of my time just conceptualizing and thinking about this book and how great my book is and these ideas and where it's going to go and how awesome and cool it is, but I'm not writing it. So it just stays in my head, which is not where I want it to stay, right? That's not going to benefit me, my dream, my career in this space if I don't actually finish writing the book. So all of this was a very long-winded way of talking to you about what this video is about, which is me trying to figure out how I'm going to fix that. I think creating a routine is essential, so I want to come together and make a routine. Now, how am I actually going to do that? Well, I recently read slash listened to via audiobook Atomic Habits, which you've definitely heard about Atomic Habits, but if you haven't, it's just a book about how to build habits that last, not just, burn out quickly. And there's a couple of things within there that I'm going to try to implement. Now, I don't have it quoted all nice and neat because I listened to it. I didn't read it physically to reference it for this video. However, there are a couple of key things that stuck out to me in listening to that book in particular. You have to be very exact and detailed when it comes to when you're going to do it and how. So how does that come to fruition when we're talking about writing, right? If you give yourself a routine, or if you try to make a routine and you tell yourself, I'm going to write every day after work, well, per Atomic Habits, that's not actually a good goal, because when after work? For how long after work? Where exactly? Within 5 minutes next to your desk? Within an hour when you get home, as soon as you walk through the door? Like, the book really emphasizes that in order to build a successful habit, you have to be very precise in the actual how to, when to, why to of the thing. So let me just pull out my notebook here because I did write down what like the questions were. So, where am I going to write? When am I going to write? How long am I going to write for? I mean, these are all simple questions, but maybe not so simple because I don't already have an answer. Another one of the big questions is, how am I going to track this? The Atomic Habits book really emphasizes that whatever goal you're trying to accomplish, whatever habit you're trying to build, you have to make it trackable. You can't just keep mental record of it, I suppose. Like, you have to be able to be like, no, like, I'm not just going to write every day. I'm going to write every day, and I'm going to write a minimum of 1 page. And that 1 page a day is the tracking part. It's not sufficient to just be like, I'm going to write every single day, which I'm not even going to try to write every single day right now. I'm very much somebody who needs to progressively build. So I think in trying to formulate this new writing routine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just aim to write for half an hour every other day. I mean, every day would be so awesome, but I don't want to have a day where I miss and then I'm discouraged. So I'm going to go with every other day for half an hour, which you might be thinking to yourself, half an hour is nothing, but half an hour is a lot about when you look at a page for 5 minutes and your brain wants to explode, which is unfortunately where I'm at in this writing process. As for when and where, so here's my current dilemma, right? And I want to preface this by saying that I sort of acknowledge all of these things as self made excuses. If you really want to do something, you're going to do it, and you're going to find reasons to do it, not excuses for why you shouldn't do it. So these are all excuses, but these are very relevant to why I haven't, excelled in the area of writing as much. So I work a 9 to 5, fine, normal. I work 9 to 5 and I work on a computer. And then before work, I get up at around anywhere between 5:30 to 6 in the morning and I go to the gym. That's my daily habit, my uncompromising daily habit. I am not willing to change that habit because it's necessary for my well-being. But that means that as it stands right now, I'm already getting up at 5:30 in the morning, going to the gym, and then working 9 to 5. I cannot be asked to wake up any earlier than that. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. But the issue is with working on a computer is I get out of work at 5 and my brain is tired, my head is tired, my eyes are tired from looking at a screen. So then the idea of writing, which requires thought, it's not passive, kind of makes me more tired. And again, these are all excuses, but these are the things that have held me back. So I know for a fact I'm not gonna go from waking up at 5:30 to waking up at 4:30 for the sake of writing. Even though I would love to say that I would, I know that's not going to happen. So I really just have to get over myself and do it right after work. So using the preciseness that atomic habits insist upon, I'm going to set an exact time limit. So I'm not going to immediately close my computer and then start writing. What I'm going to do, or what I intend to do, is I'm going to get out of work at 5, sometimes that's 5:30, and I'm going to take half an hour immediately from turning off that computer, and I'm going to either pray or meditate, whichever one calls to me in that particular moment, just as a way to clear my mind and maybe relax my mind a little bit before I progress into writing. And maybe I'll get a snack during that time just so I'm not hungry. But that's what I'm going to do. During this time, I'm going to be very, very intentional about not being on my phone or using my phone so that I'm actually getting that mental clarity that I would need in order to be able to, write and do what I need to do, right? And then as far as where I'm going to write, again, like, it's a video of excuses essentially, but here's another thing. I do work from home. Right here, this area that I'm in, this is what I call my creative space. It's where I have all of my things and hobbies and books, but it's also where I work. I have a desk over here to the side, and that's where I do my job. So I get out of work and I want to leave this room because I'm like, this is work. I have to get over that. I mean, it's a video full of excuses. I have to get over that. So as far as where I'm going to write, I'm going to go with two options. Number one, this pillow right here. It is one of those pillows that you read in. I'm going to lay down there on the carpet and I'm going to write. And the crazy part is, like, we're talking about just like half an hour of writing. The fact that all of this is necessary for me to just write for half an hour shows you the absurdity of what I've been going through. But I'm going to write down there. I'm going to chill and I'm not going to look at my desk. I'm going to look at my bookshelves and I'm going to feel and get inspired to the degree that I can, right? Another option is, if the weather's nice, if the weather permits, just take my computer and go outside. I have a nice apartment complex. It's nice and peaceful out there. If the weather permits, I don't see why I don't just go and write outside. That way I have some surrounding atmosphere to kind of help me a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write 30 minutes every other day. Immediately after work, I'll take a 30-minute breather to pray or meditate or grab a snack, whatever calls to me most in that moment. And then I'm going to either get into that pillow down there or find a comfortable spot outside, and I'm going to write for half an hour. That is what I'm going to do. That is my plan for at least the next 3 days, right? And then I'll tweak and adapt as necessary. But really, the important thing is that I write. That's the most important thing. The most important thing for any writer is to write. And I get so stuck up on the imperfect first draft that's really like my downfall right now, is that the first draft is so, I don't want to say bad, because I don't even think it's the worst first draft that could exist. I think the issue is that it is not what it is in my head. And that disconnect is so sharp that it keeps me from writing and keeps me in my head fantasizing about this story. But that's kind of backwards. And I'm never going to get to that point. And I actually really enjoy the refinement process. I look forward to my first draft being done and being at a place where I can just make it perfect and beautiful. That seems so much more fun to me than just writing the initial story. But I have to finish the first draft to get to that point, and I am a little bit disappointed in myself that I haven't. And I listened to the Atomic Habits book, and I'm going to try to implement some of those things to be able to do better. I don't know if there's any writers out there who can necessarily relate. I really hope so. I mean, I know that there's a lot of people who struggle with writer's block, but I don't know if this is considered writer's block or if this is a little bit different. This is more just like me getting in my own way because the first draft is so imperfect and far from what it is that I want it to be, that I almost just prefer to think of it in my head than actually put it to paper, which is not going to get me anywhere. I'm currently in about the second act of my story, and this is supposed to be the fun and exciting part, and I feel like I've dropped the ball a little bit in not making the time for it. And I want to finish this first draft so that I can make progress towards like the dream. So yeah, this is my plan, and this is what I'm going to do in order to try to do a little bit better. I did want to explore this idea of the imperfect first draft a little bit and how I'm going to approach it. A couple of months ago, I did the Artist Way, which is basically a guided 6-week sort of, I don't want to say program because it's self-paced, but it's meant to help you unblock creatively. One of the really big components, in fact the main component of the challenge, is to immediately when you wake up in the morning write 3 pages of brain dump, just to completely filter what's on your mind. And then maybe in the future you could go back and reflect on your headspace when you're not overthinking it. And something that showed me was that you can just rapid fire write things out whether or not it's junk. So my approach that I would like to take to not get so hung up is to really just write whatever comes to mind as quickly as possible without caring about the quality. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do anyways, but again, even though I know a first draft is meant to be bad, I'm still focused on even just correct grammar, correct spelling, punctuation, making sure that dialogue sounds natural, making sure that things aren't overly descriptive, underly descriptive. And the thing is, like, that's all post first draft stuff. That's not stuff I should be doing right now. I should not be so hung up on the detail. I need to just make more of a complete skeletal process. So my approach is just going to be treating it like a brain dump and just writing whatever comes to mind, regardless of quality, regardless of if that was the intention or not. I'm just gonna brain dump that trash out there and then just see what happens, see if I surprise myself. Even, I mean, anything's really possible. I think lastly, the most important thing is really just remembering your why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? Why do you care? I mean, why bother with a first draft? Like, oh, if it's not meeting up to your standard and whatever, let it go. I mean, but no, like, really remember your why you're doing this, why you want this, and stay centered and grounded in why I want to be a writer, why I want to tell this story, why it matters to me, and why it matters that I actually, follow through. Because I do feel that even though it's me wanting to be a writer, and even though it's me coming up with a story that I like, I very much feel like the story insists upon being told. And if it's not gonna be me, it's gonna go to someone else, because this story, no matter what, has to be told. I really feel that way. I don't want to lose, and I want to rise to the challenge. And this story chose me to write it, so I have to rise. I don't want to lose. I don't want to let it down. I have to overcome these parts of myself that hold me back a little bit. So that's what I'm going to do. these are the things that I'm going to do to try to overcome my perfectionism so that I can finish this story and, you know, actualize my dream, you know. So thank you guys so much for watching. I know that this was a little bit of a ramble, but it's so important to me. If you are a writer, I really want to know what your process is. I want to know how you overcome these parts of yourself that maybe try to hold you back or tell you that your first draft isn't good enough. If you have a ritual, if you have a routine, I really want to know. I want to see what works for other people. And I will definitely be checking back in with you guys regarding my progress. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.